What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Jumping right back into the IS300 like I promised, and we're gonna start getting ready to make more power on this thing. We're gonna be setting up the boost controller, showing you guys how everything works on that system. I've never installed a boost controller before because this is my first turbo car, and with that being said, I've only ran it off wastegate, meaning just the spring that I installed onto the wastegate that controls the boost. This is important to me because we're gonna be doing the same exact thing to Junior's truck, so he doesn't run into any of the issues that I've ran into with this car. When it comes to tuning a car, there are so many variables, and if you want to make it easy as possible when going to the dyno and not giving your tuner a headache like I did, you have to make sure that your wiring is good, you don't have any intake leaks, and most importantly, making sure that the car is set up for the power goal that you have in mind so you don't have any issues. So you don't end up like me that put a 12-pound spring in the wastegate and only made 8 psi, because obviously there are so many factors like the size of the intake tubing, you know, the turbo size, and just so many variables, right? So you're gonna end up running into an issue where you're gonna make less power and you spend all this money, you're gonna have to go back for a retune, and that's not something that I want you guys to go through, and that's why I'm going through it and learning through my mistakes. So today we're gonna be installing the boost controller. Damn, you got it from Link 2? You're a baller, bro. Big baller.
Alright, so you're gonna connect this to the positive and the negative.
No.
What the fuck I'm saying, bro. Just kidding, guys.
You're gonna learn today though, which is good. There's different types of boost controllers. There's ones with the little dial that Junior's more familiar with to turn up the boost, and that's how you start cranking up the power. With this one is controlled through a Mac valve from the ECU, and the ECU is obviously going to have to be a standalone, and you're gonna have to wire it in. The way you can imagine it is, if you guys know how a wastegate works, if you have a vacuum leak on the wastegate hose or you just have it unplugged, the engine is going to make as much power as the turbo can handle, and it's just going to max out and blow up. We don't want that, right? So we regulate boost pressure with a wastegate via a vacuum line going into the intake manifold. So with that being said, all the Mac valve is doing is just opening and closing. From what Jeremiah told me is that you only want to go up to 2 times the amount of PSI. So say this has a 12-pound spring and it makes theoretically 12 pounds. We can use the Mac valve to go up to 24. I don't know the exact amount, and obviously you don't want to max anything out. So I want minimum. This car only has 8 pounds, bro. That's weak sauce.
We need 20 pounds.
No, fool. I want to hit 12 pounds from the get-go. That'll put me around, hopefully like around 350, 340, because it's on pump gas. And then we can ramp it up, you know, even more. I just want a minimum of around 300 wheel. I think that I'll be comfortable with that. Right now it makes 280. I really want to hit 400. The only thing limiting me right now is that tranny. That thing's gonna blow up, you know, and it's fine. I want it to blow up on the dyno. That's gonna be some good content right there. Just, and then I'm gonna look at you and be like, fuck, I blew my motor up. And then you're just gonna see the shifter going like this, like the Hondas.
Get the CD09.
I know, I need to. Martin has it.
Let's get it.
Whichever one blows up first. I think your tranny can handle more, bro.
You think so?
Yeah. Nissan trannies, at least the old ones, are stronger.
Yeah, because there's this guy on, I think it was on Facebook, he posted a video, and I think he's pushing like 450 or 480 with the stock trans.
Bro, you're chilling, you're big chilling. So going into the boost controller stuff, we have the boost controller right here. This is a 3-port. So 2 ports are gonna be used up. One of them is gonna be neutral, AKA probably most likely vent to atmosphere. It came with 3 barbed fittings. We're not gonna be using that stuff. We have these push lock fittings, just like I've used on the rest of the car. Jeremiah gave me these, and I think one of them's used, so we're just gonna be rewrapping it with some Teflon tape. We also have some 1/4-inch poly tubing. This stuff you can buy off Lowe's. That's exactly where I got this, and there's a ton of it for super cheap. All that stuff is easy. I can show you guys later how that's set up. But as far as the wiring goes, so when it comes to these 2 wires, I thought that it was actually gonna be power from the ECU and then grounded somewhere. That's not how it works. One wire is gonna go to a switched 12-volt fuse. So pretty much right when you turn the car on, it should be powered on. The other side is gonna go to the ECU. Depending on how you have the ECU set up, on mine, the way Panic set up the harness, I'm gonna be using one of the oxygen sensor pins, which is super cool, and just tapping that directly because that's how it's pinned out on the ECU. and that's gonna be the boost controller. Setting this thing up requires some knowledge because it's in hertz and you have to adjust a bunch of things, and save that for the tuner so I don't blow anything up. How we're gonna be mounting it, we're gonna be using the same threaded inserts, the little rivet gun, to mount this thing up and make it look really nice. I also installed the Link CAN bus wideband. That rivet gun is a game changer, bro.
It is.
Level up.
Look nicer.
I feel like just throwing on a turbo cover. See, that's what I like to see right there. Little spoolie boy.
I need to upgrade mine already.
You haven't even got yours running, bro. This guy right here, you can pick it up at AutoZone. This is the best way to get power from a fuse because you just plug it in, put your own fuse in. It's that simple. I've already made a slit for other wiring harnesses to run through, so I'm just gonna be using this one and just feeding it through. You can see that I'm already using one of the ignition sources to power up the CAN bus for the wideband, but the one on the left side is the one that I wired up for the Mac valve.
You just took it out the fridge.
She didn't even cook, huh?
Number 1.
No, number 3, I think.
Because you tee these together on mine, this is teed together, then you have an inlet. Maybe, I don't know, I want to look at mine real quick.
I'll attach a picture on the top right of how some people set theirs up. And I believe number 3, which is this guy right here on the center, is just gonna be venting to atmosphere. Bro, you're making me bald more, bro. Just looking at you. We're gonna start selling static garage Mac valves. They'll work sometimes. They'll work sometimes.
I think, honestly, boosted general sounds better because it's for boost.
Yeah.
It does. How about we'll do collab?
Boosted garage. If somebody comes up with that name, we better get the credit.
Bro, they already have it out there.
Huh?
Huh? Should be good. All right, so it's set up. We have the 2 push lock fittings right here. One of the wires going to the fuse is already on. Now we just got to wire it to the oxygen sensor. A lot of people like to typically put like, almost looks like a corkscrew, but it's a filter. You know, small little filter. I'll have to buy one. So it's gonna be going wastegate in one side, vacuum source on the other, and then on the last side, it's going to be going onto the Mac valve. I'll have a diagram again, so you guys know exactly how to set it up. Push lock fittings, super nice. The other side of the Mac valve is gonna be going on top of the wastegate. Plans have changed. The mounting holes on the Mac valve are so small that even the smallest insert that we have won't fit to mount it. So this is all gonna be temporary. There's a really nice bracket I found online. It's expensive, it's like $50, but it's billet. We also drilled the rivet nuts for the O2 sensor wideband. Everything's starting to look very, very good. I had that thing dangling around for I don't know how long, months, probably a year already. Harbor Freight, that's the plug. This is pretty much how it's gonna look. You have one side going to the top of the wastegate, and then you have the other side teeing off to the compressor housing and going to the bottom of the wastegate. That's pretty much it. Then you have one wire going to the ECU, and then the other one going to an ignition source. And that's it, guys. That's pretty much all you really have to do to set one of those things up. I tapped mine off the oxygen sensor wiring because, like I mentioned before, that's how Panic set this thing up. So every build is gonna be different. Every person who makes a harness and pins it out is going to be different. There's another wire on that connector that you can set up for ethanol. So if you want to install a flex fuel sensor. I wish this engine bay was a little more tucked and pretty, but we're trying as much as we can to still make it functional, easy to access everything, you know, without sacrificing. We're still ways away from the retune. It is starting to smoke pretty bad, so I definitely need to do the valve seals and just rebuild the head and put some head studs on there. That I'm gonna start saving up for. We have a lot coming, right? We have this car, we're gonna start building the Miata, so gotta figure out what we're gonna do with that. But in the meantime, let's enjoy the car for what it is and the power that it has. Because I wanna actually take Stephanie along for a ride and have her drive it, because she's been in the car with me, you know, when I mess around sometimes. The car's slow enough where I can control it, right? But once it starts getting scarier, that's where I'm gonna have to limit how fast I go with Steph.
It's a buy it off of you, bro. You're done already? So you take it home?
You're gonna buy it off of me.
Yeah, cash it out right now.
Bro, here's the keys. You can keep it.
And the Tahoe.
This is Hot Boy.
That's hard, even the color.
I think I'm gonna go with the black one though. Pink would be pretty good. I feel like pink would look better on the hard body because it would really stand out. I feel like with my car, you know what I mean? This car just needs to get paint matched. I'm gonna be saying that to the day I die because I feel like this car is never good. What are you doing, bro? Martin was talking to Junior a little earlier just about life, you know, and sometimes we just take life for granted and don't realize, you know, how far we've come. Views are always up and down, right? Depending on the video. And sometimes, you know, I beat myself up for it a lot, especially because I spend hours editing and, you know, we spend a lot of time trying to make this content. But at the same time, you know, we love doing it. I love creating content for you guys. We still need to be positive, and I need to be grateful that we have all this. We have a shop, we have cool cars we're building, and it doesn't matter if they're done or not. We're enjoying the time with our friends and families, and that's all that matters, really.
Back then when we're in your driveway at your house, we wished we had a warehouse, and then now we have this.
And not only that, we didn't think the warehouse was gonna be like this.
Yeah, so it's like 4 years ago when you had your E46 and I had the E36. Like we wanted this, and now we have it.
We have Martin and Jeremiah right next door, and then ours here. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when life beats you down, or, you know, you get in some kind of mood, you have to realize that there are people out there worse than you, and it's not to take away from your situation, but at the same time, you know, there's always something to be grateful for. When this channel blows up, we're gonna be giving back. I've always talked about it. I've always wanted to give away cars and builds, and we wanted to do things for you guys because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be shit without you guys. I do get very busy, but if you ever want to DM me, I'll most likely respond. You know, I do get a lot of messages, but regardless, I try to respond to everybody if anybody needs help. I hope you guys appreciate that we're trying to upload twice a week. That's really, really hard to do, especially because we work full time. So we're trying. And I go to the gym 5 days a week. So it's really hard to try to manage everything, but we're doing it, you know, and we're super happy about it and super thankful to be doing this and doing what we love. So on that note, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys on the next one.